Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do?
Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for popping in again. Today we are here to talk about my first trimester, which is so insane because I am 21 weeks pregnant this Friday, and first trimester feels kind of like it was ages ago, but also it's still really vivid in my memory because it was an absolute whirlwind, which is what we're here to talk about today. So we will do a little run through of what that was like for me, how that experience was, some advice I might have, and symptoms, things like that. So we'll chat about that later on, but I did want to say thank you for returning to the channel. I think it's been about 3 weeks since I posted anything. I had a really nice Christmas. Jay and I went away to the Victorian countryside and yeah, just enjoyed December, and it was so nice, but it's really nice to be back. And I've been itching to do this video because I'm feeling more and more as I get into the second trimester like I'm a little bit behind. So we're going to do a first trimester sit down today, and then I've got a bunch of vlogs and videos lined up for this year, which is so exciting. Yay 2021, am I right? I also need to apologize for my desk. I've changed offices, so I was in another room in this place, but that's why my desk is an absolute wreck. I might actually go through at the end of the video some of the stuff that's on the desk because there's heaps of like pregnancy related stuff and stuff I need to do and all of that. But the cool thing about this room, and I love coming to work every day because it's also going to be our baby's nursery. So it's just a super well lit room. It's a little bit bigger than the other rooms. And yeah, eventually it will be filled with a little change table, and hopefully we'll have a cot or a bassinet. And we've already got a chair. Obviously when baby's here, I'll show you the nursery. And for now, it's sort of just a bunch of stuff that I've just got in the corner, and I'm really looking forward to getting into that. It's also a 36-degree day here in Melbourne, which is one of the hottest days we've had since January now, which I don't know if it's just me because I'm pregnant or everyone else is feeling it too, but whew, it is so hot. I'm looking outdoors because there's people walking and stuff, and I couldn't imagine going and walking in this heat right now. So first things first, as with all my videos, I always like to preface that this is my experience. This is how things went for me. This is how I felt. These were some things I did and didn't know in my first trimester or pregnancy so far. Please, if you need to go see your GP or a medical health professional, or you feel like your experience was really different to mine, whether it was a bit more positive or you found it even harder than mine, then that's okay. That is so normal. That's your journey, and each pregnancy is different. And without further ado, I'm going to get into my first trimester. So the last video that I uploaded was me finding out that I was pregnant and telling Jay, which I uploaded a few weeks ago, and that was filmed ages and ages ago, 21 weeks to be sort of exact. I feel like there's like a big gap from when I found out I was pregnant and told Jay to now. So there's so much to fill in, so I'm going to do my best in this video to not ramble too much and to try to keep it concise. But basically I felt really normal sort of after that video that I made telling Jay that I was pregnant. I felt really normal for about a couple weeks. So it was about 5 weeks when I started actually feeling like any physical changes. I wouldn't say I was particularly emotional. Like obviously I was super excited that we were pregnant, but I wasn't like super hormonal or anything. I don't remember having too many changes. I wasn't weeing a lot. Like I've got friends that felt like they're in the bathroom all day. I have that now, but I didn't have that at the start. Yeah, I pretty much didn't have any of the things that I've kind of heard people can have in those first couple of weeks. And I actually started a new job as well around like the 4 or 5 week mark. So obviously with pandemic and everything, Jay and I moved to Melbourne with our jobs. Luckily Jay has a full-time job now, which is awesome. He works from home, so that's so nice. So I suppose that kind of shows how unaware I was of how things can be, especially in first trimester, because this job was offered to me and I didn't know I was pregnant at the time, and I took the job and I was really excited. So it was a job that I could do from home, so that was awesome. And so yeah, I started this role, like I said, at about the 5th week mark, and that was exactly when, basically when I was doing my training. I had Zooms all day and things like that, was when I started feeling so sick. I just refer to it as pregnancy nausea because it's definitely not just in the morning. Some people maybe have certain times of the day that they're particularly sick, but for me, I was just sick all the time. Sometimes I was sick at night. It definitely eased up a little bit at night, but oh my goodness, it was not in the mornings. I don't want to mislead anybody. Like, I feel like I was a little bit misled. It was all day continuously. Basically, in those couple days of training for this job, I started noticing that I didn't have an appetite. Everything smelled like really strong in the kitchen. I started like dry reaching, baby brain. I'll just claim it as baby brain. I wasn't actually throwing up at that point, but I felt really shocking. I was trying to drink water and do everything that you do when you just found out that you're pregnant and everything, but I was really struggling to want to eat and to want to drink. That went on for a couple days to a week, and then I pretty much just started like actually throwing up. It was interesting because I knew that people, you know, get sick, especially in first trimester, but once it happened to me, I was like, whoa, this, like, the novelty wore off very quickly. As much as I was happy that that meant that my hormones were doing their thing, and pregnancy nausea affects, I'm pretty sure, like 80% of pregnancies, or there's some like rough statistic like that. Basically, it's super common. It's definitely not a rare thing, nothing to be worried about. Unless obviously, like we'll chat about later, you get dehydrated or you can't eat at all. We'll chat about that. Anytime I've ever thrown up, I've really hated it. It hurts your throat, like you feel so gross after. The actual throwing up part is so, like, you can't breathe and it tastes terrible. And for me, like any food that I could get down, I was so keen to keep down because I knew that I needed to be eating and staying hydrated. And every time I threw up, I just felt so devastated that I'd lost this food that I knew that me and Bub needed. And obviously, like earlier on, baby's so tiny. Like, I mean, 5-6 weeks is like minuscule. So you're not eating for two. I mean, even right now, technically, I'm not eating for two. I am like eating more now, but I think the eating for two thing is, I think it's a bit misconstrued, but I still knew that I needed to be eating like more than I was at that point. And that kind of brings us into my sense of smell, which again, I had heard of this. I knew that you can, you know, pick up this, all of a sudden, this bloodhound sense of smell where everything is just really strong. And I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but it has been one of the worst parts of pregnancy for me. And I wasn't expecting that. I kind of felt like that was like a side symptom where you're like, oh, everything smells really strong. But I just found everything smelled so bad. The kitchen was 100% a no-go zone for me from like 5 weeks till maybe like 16 weeks. Like now I'm cooking again. I'm 21 weeks now and I'm only just cooking, going to the kitchen, eating my breakfast out, you know, on the kitchen table, that kind of thing. So that was a shock. That was different for me. And I think that was a shock for both of us, Jared and I, because having such a strong sense of smell, man, it totally sucked. Like I did not think how terrible it was going to be. I don't want you to think I just had this blissful first trimester when I did find it really hard. I am enjoying pregnancy now, if you are wondering, and persevere to the end of the video because I'll chat a little. Oh, Jay's home. Jay's been going back into the office a little bit more, so he's just popped home. I'll go into a little bit more at the end of the video, like how I'm doing now and coming out of it. So it's not just going to be like this negative drop of stuff on you, but I feel like it's important to let you guys know how my first trimester was. And it was honestly debilitating. So hard for both of us. Jay and I found it both so hard because he obviously was like looking after me. And this was in the midst of like, you know, restrictions and everything. So I didn't have anybody else come. I think I had like one visit maybe from somebody, and even then, like, you're so sick, there's like not a whole lot they can do. Like, you know, Jay was such a trooper. He's like, hold the bucket for me and cook for me, and then half the time I couldn't even eat what he cooked, and he was just so okay with it. He was like, oh well, you know, like, can you try and do a few mouthfuls? And if I could, like, he was really proud, and if I couldn't, he understood. And he was honestly so amazing. I couldn't have asked for somebody better to look after me in that time. But it was really hard for him, and I will say he came out of it a little bit scarred. I think 3 or so months of him just permanently taking care of me. Like, he would shower me, he would dry my hair, blow dry my hair, brush my hair, which is a feat in itself. Like, when I threw up, like, he would take care of that. He would like rub my back if I needed. He was constantly encouraging me. It was all of this stuff that I was going through that he also, in a sense, was going through as well. So there's so much that women do that obviously, like, it's on them. Like, you know, Jay, he physically can't help me carry my child, but he bore the brunt of those 3 months as well. And I absolutely take my hat off to him because he was so amazing. And if you can find somebody like that for your first trimester, like so your second, your third, whichever one has struggles, maybe it's all three, maybe it's the 4th trimester after birth, whatever it is, like if you can find somebody, it doesn't have to be a partner, it doesn't have to be a family member, if it's a friend or maybe it's a medical health professional, whoever it is, you need somebody to be there with you because it is so hard and so lonely if you don't know when it's going to end, if you don't know why something's happening. It's so important to have somebody there to at least talk to about these things. Just took a little break to go and kiss my hubby hello because he usually works from home, but he's started popping into the office once a week, which gives me a little bit of opportunity to film, which is great. And it also means he gets to be out and about. And the rest of the week, I get him all to myself. So around 6 weeks, I start actually throwing up. And then that was super consistent until 12 weeks. I felt a little bit of a shift. I felt a little bit better, but that also may have been me getting used to it. Your body and I guess yourself, you just get used to this routine of just throwing up constantly. You sort of just adjust, and I guess that's the case for anybody who is sick with anything or just any life changes, like you adjust. But I do feel like there was a little bit of relief around the 12 weeks, so the 2nd trimester mark. Not heaps, not as much as I was sort of expecting. And you know, people have different pregnancies, so people will say, oh, I felt better at this point, I felt better at this point. I didn't feel bad at all, like I felt better in the 1st trimester and then really bad in the 2nd trimester. So you just got to kind of wait it out and see what your body's doing. I felt like I was gonna feel better around week 9. I think I read somewhere that your placenta starts taking, I don't know, some of the hormone, or it can sort of take some of that load. And then 9 weeks came and I still felt terrible. When I refer to like feeling terrible, I suppose I should like share what that was like for me. I pretty much couldn't move without feeling just this overwhelming nausea, I suppose, of wanting to throw up. And sometimes that was throwing something up, and sometimes that was just my body felt like dry heaving, which was never fun because that hurts too. And I never knew which one it was gonna be. So I had 2 chucket buckets. I don't have one now, which is actually so awesome because I didn't know how long I was gonna have to have these for. Basically, they were just like kitchen bowls that, like mixing bowls. And I had one beside my bed at all times and one in the bathroom. And then if, for example, because when I would throw up, I would often throw up like 3 or 4 times in one go. So a session of throwing up, if you will, it often had like up to 10 like actual heaves in it. And some of that, like I said, I would actually throw up, and some of that was just this intense stomach heaving, which I didn't get abs from, unfortunately, but it was this almost cramping and this like contraction of my stomach muscles that was just so intense. The hormones that make me forget the things are the hormones that I can't remember the names of, so that's ironic. It was around the 10-week mark where I just felt so emotionally drained. I had no hope left. I was so desperate for something to change. I just needed something to happen because I was just lying in bed all day, every day in the same spot. Jay was so lovely and he brought the TV into our room, which we don't usually have in the room, but I obviously wasn't going out into the lounge room. I pretty much stayed in my room for 3 months straight, which in itself is like a bit of a psychological torture, but that was crazy. So he bought the TV in. I couldn't watch TV, and part of me before I fell pregnant thought, like 1st trimester, if I was sick or something, like I could just watch Community or Outlander or something like for 3 months straight, but I couldn't. Sometimes I could go on my phone, like if I lay on my side, I could do that, and to be honest, that was such a saving grace. An hour feels like a year when you can't move, and when you do move, you throw up, like I said, like 8 times in a row. And then on top of that, you have to eat. So after I'd throw up was sort of a prime time for me to actually eat, because there was the chance of me being able to keep it down after a throw up was a little bit higher. So that's when Jay would come in, and the poor guy, it was his job to pretty much try and like force me to eat, you know, within reason, but he knew I had to eat, and I didn't want to be hospitalized, so I forced myself every day to at least have a few bites of everything that Jay made for me, even if I knew I was going to throw it up. I did my best to drink as much water as I could. The taste of plain water or even just lemon water, which I usually have, was so unbearable. My sugar-free pregnancy was just out the window because I just needed to survive and I needed to stay hydrated. So I would put in a little bit of juice into pretty much every cup of water that I had, and that helped me get it down. But I would often just throw it up again. And I did start feeling a little bit better around 14 weeks, and then I stopped sort of throwing up around 16 weeks. So yeah, I'm 21 weeks this Friday, so I haven't actually been feeling that great for that long. But luckily, the last couple weeks have been really great and I'm feeling heaps better. You can have that coupled with heaps of other things like pelvic discomfort and all the joys of second and third trimester, which hyperemesis usually is in second and third trimester and can sometimes only ease up after the baby's born. And I'm so thankful that I at least have a little bit of space now where I'm not having too many crazy symptoms. I don't know what the rest of the pregnancy is going to throw at me, but it's really nice to just have a breather and to be able to eat and to be able to go into, you know, all the rooms of my house and hold my dog and kiss my husband. When I started finally venturing out of the house, we had to wear masks a lot of the time, and everybody who has had to wear a mask, and hopefully everyone out there is respecting everyone else and wearing masks, that mask just without pregnancy is just so stifling, and those masks do get a smell as well. Like even now, if I wear that mask, I can't. I have like such an aversion to that mask now. Even outdoors, we had to wear masks for a lot of the time, which was really, really awful because the only thing that I wanted was fresh air, and I couldn't even get that when I was outside. And like I said, in that 9-10 week point, if I'm going to be completely vulnerable and honest with you guys, I'm keeping in mind, like I fully wanted to fall pregnant. As you guys will know, like I have tried to conceive both of my babies. I'm so over the moon that I had conceived again and just so excited. Keeping all that in mind, by week 9 and 10, and that was like maybe like a month of feeling so terrible, I just wanted it over. Like I said, something had to change, something had to budge. I couldn't lie in bed by myself that sick all day. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was just at my wit's end. I cried every day. We would kind of joke about it, but I would have like literally a daily breakdown where I would just sob and sob and sob. I was on medications, which made me feel worse at points, or groggy or constipated or whatever. I'll get into that a little bit later because I know some people have questions about like what medication I took. So all of that just made me feel so hopeless. I also felt really ripped off because I mean, I knew that pregnancy wasn't all rainbows and glory. Like I did know that when I felt pregnant. I know some people don't know that at all because movies don't show you that. When you see a pregnant person walking around, like unless you go and ask them and talk to them, like usually they're not expressing outwardly how they may be feeling. It's so hard going into a pregnancy expecting, I guess, that you'll be able to go walking. I thought I was going to be able to stay completely plant-based, vegan, sugar-free, so crazy hydrated. Like I was overhydrated. Like that's how ambitious I was about these things. I thought I was going to be, you know, doing pregnancy safe workouts every day. Obviously a second income would have been really great. The job wasn't a full-time long-term commitment, but it was going to be enough that was going to really, really help us to, you know, buy baby things and pay for hypnobirthing classes. And so that was really frustrating, and I was frustrated to let that team down because I'd obviously just joined the team. It was really, really hard to have to write an email 2 weeks into a job and say, hey, I didn't know when I took the job, but I'm super pregnant now and I'm really sick and I can't even sit up, so I can't work. So that was disappointing. And I also felt on a second level this real sadness for Jared, I think, like you guys would see in the vlog that I did. We're so excited, and it's not that we weren't excited anymore, but it's just like reality was so much more than we had ever anticipated. And yeah, pretty much week 9 and 10, I wanted it over. Like, I didn't want to be pregnant anymore. I'm not going to beat around the bush about that, because I definitely cried to Jared one particular night and I said, like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like that point in birth where you're transitioning and you're like, I don't want to do it anymore. You'll take any way out of it. I knew that I felt this sick because the baby was growing, and by then we'd had a few scans, and I'll go into that later, but I knew that everything was okay, and I knew that this was perfectly normal, you know, as long as you don't have to be hospitalized and you are able to keep some fluids down. I knew that it was okay. And that almost made it worse, because I feel like if you're as sick as I was, but for another reason, if I was throwing up every single day, like 8 times a day, and then, you know, which ends up being like way more than 8 times a day because you're throwing up so much in one throw up session. If you had that for any other reason, like there would be so much concern around it. But because it's normal in pregnancy, and you know, once you know, a GP knows that you're pregnant, they'll let you know that you're probably gonna have some sickness. You sort of just need to go away and just deal with it yourself. That can be really, really, really hard. Just knowing like that it's normal and you just have to get through it. So I did try a few different types of medication. The first one I tried was Restivit, which I won't go into like heaps of detail on the medications, because firstly, like I'm, you know, not qualified to do so, and everybody reacts different to different medications. As soon as I had it, I would just pass out and go to sleep, which I took that every night because I had restless sleep, obviously. I also would take that once, sometimes twice a day in those really, really bad weeks, probably about for like a month or 6 weeks, because I honestly couldn't be awake all day like that. I had to have something that just knocked me out. And because I had no physical exertion, I wasn't tired enough to like sleep, like nap properly. And I was so sick that I just never would have napped on my own. So basically it was kind of like taking a sleeping tablet that was pregnancy safe. I obviously wasn't super stoked on having to take medication. Now I'm just so stoked that I did it, and I am a little bit frustrated that I waited so long, because it did make me feel better and it didn't hurt baby at all. It didn't help with my actual sickness though. So then I tried Maxilon, which Jared was not a huge fan of because he had taken that previously himself. Just really aware that that medication, it can be a lot, not just physically, but like emotionally and mentally. So I did take that, and I made sure I watched myself, and it honestly didn't do anything. I felt like I wasn't even taking it. It didn't help with my sickness, and it didn't cause me any symptoms that I was aware of anyway. So I stopped that, and I said I need something stronger. So that's when I went on Ondansetron, or I think there's a brand name of it, which is Zofran. Maybe that's more American, I'm not sure. But anyway, so I took the Zofran, and that did help. I hated taking the tablets because I had to take them with food, and I couldn't eat the food, and everything tasted bad, and I just knew I was going to throw it up and have to do it all again anyway. So it was just like this cycle of torture for me, and I really did try, like I was doing my best to stay positive. I wasn't saying like I can't do this, but I would cry a lot, like when I knew that, you know, these bouts were going to come up. It was just such a scene, and I felt weak. I felt unprepared. Then on top of that, and this part was the real kicker for me, was that the Zofran coupled with just being pregnant was I got so backed up. Just with your extra progesterone and everything, you usually, and your bowels change as well, all your muscles change, you usually will get a bit backed up, especially at the start of pregnancy. And I did know that, but I've always had like, I don't know, no dietary issues. I've never had anything like that. So I was just like, didn't really take it seriously at all. And then once I took the Zofran as well, man, I was so constipated. That just snapped. My mental health was so low, especially like once that started. And a common symptom of being constipated is nausea. So I even if I had started feeling a little bit better at that point, boom, I was back to being sick. When I felt like I should have been feeling better around 10 weeks, I started feeling worse basically. So I was so bloated, and I looked super pregnant, but I wasn't. I looked what I look like now. And that was so frustrating for me. I was so tender. I couldn't obviously pass any stool. So Jay went to the chemist a bunch of times and tried to get different stool softeners. Unfortunately, we did buy one at first that we found out was not pregnancy safe, which was okay because it was like a chocolate laxative, and it was so disgusting that I couldn't even get it down. Every time I needed to try a new medication, we were going in for another appointment, and those appointments were never fun because I was so sick. So every time I went in, I dreaded it, and I had to wear a mask at the appointment. That was the first thing. I remember my GP opening up her lunchbox at one point. I don't know why she did that. I can't remember. Maybe she was putting it away, and obviously there was food in there, and I was just like, like I can't be in this room anymore, and it was just a terrible experience for me. But Jay was always there with me, which was awesome because I know a lot of people at this time haven't been able to have their partners there. Then I tried like a drink version of laxative. It's basically like a sugar syrup, and so you add that to your drinks. I had that every single day for about a month, and I didn't really feel like that did anything. It didn't give me any help, which I feel like that would be really helpful if you just had like normal bowel issues. But I was like really bad, guys. Like I was so backed up. I laugh about it now, but I would have cried if you had mentioned it to me back then. But basically you can have ones with like a stimulant in it which are not pregnancy safe because they can cause uterine contractions. So I had to find a pregnancy safe one, which technically is not as strong or not as effective as the other one. So then I was like double dosing on this safe one. So yeah, basically they were the main symptoms that really got me in my first trimester. And I didn't have headaches or anything like that, which is so awesome because I don't know what I would have done if I had headaches too. I would say I had pretty much situational depression in that as soon as I started feeling better mentally, I felt better. I don't feel like it was brought on by hormones. Yeah, I felt really sad, and I felt really lonely. I just felt like nobody saw how hard it was, because I've even done this to people when people tell me that they've, you know, had HG or morning sickness or something. I've said like, that's terrible. Like, that's so horrible. And in my head, it was just nothing compared to what it really was. And I wish I could reach out to all those people now and be like, I get it. Like, it's something else. It's so horrible. Like the medication that I was taking on Danzatron is a medication that some chemo patients take, because obviously when they take chemo, they throw up a lot, which is heartbreaking. And that's kind of that's the highest strength of nausea medication that you can go on. Intense just isn't even the right word, and I've used the word debilitating too many times now, but it is so soul depleting, to be completely honest, and physically it's depleting. I lost weight, not enough to be really worried, but I haven't put on any weight yet, so I'm thinking maybe I will now. My appetite's back, but I was definitely not expecting to be worried about my weight in that sense when I got pregnant. I thought I'd be watching what I eat and exercising. Instead, I was just wasting away. Like, I have no muscle tone. I've only just started being able to go for walks and work out. I did eventually start feeling a little bit better around Christmas, which was an amazing, happy coincidence. And I desperately hoped and just wished that I would be feeling better before Christmas. So I started feeling better around the start of December, and I stopped throwing up about a week into December. So that was such a godsend, because I could not have dealt with the FOMO of missing out on all these family things as well. We had so much going on in December. Like I said, we went away, which was just so beautiful, and I got to enjoy that whole time. And I didn't expect to feel 100%. Like, I am pregnant, I totally get that, but I wanted to be able to at least be able to walk. You know, I wanted to be able to walk into a room and not want to throw up, which the first couple of times I did go to people's houses, I had to like step outside a few times because I mean, egg smells strong just as is, but you know, if they're cooking egg or meat, or anytime a rubbish bin is opened, I couldn't handle it. And people were lovely. They put candles on, and we have like 7 air fresheners at home. So I feel like that's pretty much touching most bases as far as the all-day nausea went. I also really struggled because I've been vegan for maybe like almost 2 years now. Anyway, so I'm very passionate about animals. I'm very passionate about you know, the planet, and trying to be as eco-friendly as I can. So for me to have to sort of just eat whatever I could, and that meant that sometimes I was having a little bit of meat. I started having a bit of dairy, just like yogurt and things that were soft and gentle to have for breakfast. I really struggled with that, and not everyone will understand that, and that's okay. But yeah, basically bottom line is I'm really excited when I can be fully plant-based again, and I'm working on that now. But yeah, so that was difficult, and on top of it all as well is I had a bunch of normal blood tests, which everybody has to do when they're pregnant. Well, doesn't have to do, but you know, it is advised that you get a good understanding of like where your bloods are at. And my bloods came back pretty good, which was awesome. And I also had a bunch of ultrasounds. So I had an initial 4-week ultrasound before I was feeling sick, just to make sure that baby had implanted correctly in my uterus, because if you guys have seen my miscarriage story vlog, my first baby did not implant correctly, and therefore I had an ectopic pregnancy. So we got to see the gestational sac. You couldn't really see baby, but you could see that there was a sac, which was super exciting. And I also had my 11-12 week scan, which was just insane. I was super sick, but I was blown away by how cool baby was. From seeing that little sack with just a tiny little dot of a baby to this full, not full grown, but like this full size, like moving baby with all its bits and pieces already good to go. It had, you know, its arms and legs were moving, and I was not expecting that at all. I'd been so sick, I think, completely forgotten that this scan, you know, is as exciting as it is. And not everyone does this scan, but I really wanted to see baby. And I still have the little picture of baby at 11 weeks on our fridge, and I have another scan coming up next week, I think, and that's a 21-week scan. So we had a couple scans, blood tests, midwife/GP appointments. I've got an OB appointment coming up, so it's all very exciting, but I will leave all of that for the second trimester wrap up, because this is just supposed to be first trimester, and I know this is already going to be a long vlog. So the only thing that I haven't mentioned as well about first trimester was when we told people that we were pregnant. So after I had my miscarriage, I was really passionate about letting people know I was pregnant if I was to fall pregnant again, which we did, to let people know whenever I wanted to. For me, I didn't want to wait until 12 weeks to have, you know, somebody that support me. So obviously Jay found out very, very early on. So that's been fantastic. And then I told my family really early on as well, I think around the 6 or 7 week mark. So I had started feeling pretty sick. And then I probably would have told everybody else around like the 8 or 10 week mark, just once, you know, I'd kind of collected myself and, you know, enjoyed a little bit of time of just Jay and I knowing. But I was just so sick, it was the last thing on my mind. And I guess with COVID and everything, I wasn't really going out. People weren't noticing that I wasn't going to events or anything. Everybody was staying home. So as far as that goes, it was a really good time to be that sick, because I didn't really miss out on anything, which, oh man, that would have just got me, I think, if I had to stay home and everybody else was kind of out and about. I didn't really miss any events. I was sick at a few events, but well enough to go, so that's what matters. Yeah, so we ended up telling people around the 13 week mark, just because that's when I started feeling well enough to be able to tell people. So my advice there is, in your first trimester, just do what you want to do. If you don't want to tell people, that's completely fine. If you don't want to tell people until 3rd trimester, like, I know people that have done that and they've been able to hide their bump and they've really enjoyed not telling people. I know people who tell their whole family the day after that they found out that they're pregnant. So you have to do what works for you, and you've got to think about the support that you need. I had a GP actually tell me, it was one of the reasons I changed GPs. He said to me, do not tell people until you're 12 weeks. And that was just, I feel like, super unprofessional, and that really stuck with me. If I hadn't told anybody, I would have just had me and Jay for those 3 months, and I feel like that that can be really unhealthy for some people. But to wrap this up, I am feeling better. I'm really looking forward to doing some vlogs, so you can expect some content coming up. I also promised you guys I would do a little bit of a desk reveal. So here's some stuff that's on my desk at the moment. This is a manual blood pressure recorder. I'm not a nurse, so that's from my sister, so that's really awesome just because I can't go into the GP or the hospital all the time, especially with everything going on. So I've got that at home just to monitor my blood pressure. I've got a referral for a scan. I've got the list of numbers for my hospital. I think in here I've got, what have I got? Oh, that's our 4-week scan. So that's pretty much what you get in a 4-week scan, is just a little gestational sac. I don't know how much you guys will be able to see. And then it's a little bit worse for wear because we've taken it out and about. But this was our 7-week scan maybe. I don't know if I mentioned that scan before, but anyway, this was the dating scan. So you can see baby's not really looking like a baby, but definitely some improvement on the 4-week scan. So that was pretty cool. Maybe I'll show you guys the other scan photos in my next vlog because I don't have them with me. And then I've also got some Polaroids. So these are just some memories once I was starting to feel a bit better. And then I'm gonna buy a baby book and put all of these in the baby book and write some cute little updates and some little stories and notes to our unborn baby. So that's me actually holding the 11-week scan. I'm a bit grotty, so I've still got the 2 tests. I've got my positive ovulation and my positive pregnancy test on my desk because I think they're just so cool. I have a voucher I got for Christmas for maternity wear, which I need to get because I'm starting to feel like I need some new clothes, if you know what I mean. Oh, I've got this as well. I might maybe chat about this more in a shorter vlog because this is already a super long vlog. But I have a heart monitor that I can use from home. So I did some work with baby heart. But this is basically the heart monitor that you use. It's not hospital grade, but it's super awesome and you can 100% hear the baby's heartbeat. I've got the gel to go with that. So Jay and I enjoy doing that. I will say as well though, if you have anxiety or you have struggles with pregnancy losses before, that can be something that you need to think about before purchasing because it can lead to more anxiety, which you wouldn't maybe think it because, you know, it feels so good when you hear the baby's heartbeat. But if you're gonna find it hard to not kind of be doing that all day, every day, that's just something to think about. But so far I haven't struggled too much, even though I have had a miscarriage. And we only do it about once a week, sort of when we feel like it. And it's been a really fun experience for us. And then these are some really, really cool little, I don't know what you call them. So hopefully for my next vlog, all of this will be sorted out and everything will be in its right place and I can start working on some nursery things and chat through a bunch of the stuff that we want to put in here and things that are on my to-buy list. That is definitely a vlog that I will do, but I need to wrap this up because this has been a very, very long vlog. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you guys are encouraged by this video and I hope that it's brought awareness to some of what first trimester can bring. It's a lot, I know. I really hope that there is some positivity that comes out of this video. I'm really not trying to be negative Nancy, but I am definitely always going to be real and honest on these vlogs, and that was my real and honest experience. So I hope for your sake that you don't have that kind of a first trimester, but if you do, just know that you weren't alone and you do get through it. I will see you guys in the next vlog and have a lovely day. Mwah.